Hey guys, this is a market update. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum price levels. Where are they trading now? And, where are they going to find a level? Because obviously they've come down a lot during the Luna saga. We're going to look at Luna as well, the price chart on that, and some thoughts that I've got after this crazy week that we saw with Luna. So we're going to get into the Bitcoin chart right here. And Bitcoin has hit what you would call as absolute generational support, right? So we can see currently trading around 29,000. Obviously 29, 30,000 is just a massive psychological level, but it's actually a very large technical level as well. So this is the bottom line you can see here, 28, 29,000. If we just go back through time, you can see that during the China dump and the sell-off when, half of the hash rate moved from one country to the rest of the world, that is, an unbelievable kind of time period in Bitcoin's history. And you can see it went down to this level again. And then we can see a lot of support and resistance down at this level, really during, the first part of when Bitcoin really just entered into completely new territory in terms of an asset itself. So this is really, really important support. And if you remember the last market update I gave, I was talking about the CEO of Nexo, who are a lending and borrowing, and passive income platform, saying that there are a lot of institutional orders around the 30 level. And it looks like, this is where we've actually found some support. So I guess he was obviously, seeing that flow. I'll leave a link to Nexo in the description. You can get $25 of Bitcoin if you make a $100 deposit. So if you want to get that, you can check that out. But obviously 30K, massive, massive support right here. And if we break through this, what we're really seeing is there is no real precedent. This is a completely new regime for Bitcoin. We had this sell-off, which is obviously the Fed pivoting into a hawkish stance sell-off. Obviously we had a very good channel here, but we've come down and hit support again. So in terms of support on the downside, it's quite worrying to see that there really isn't much trade anywhere under 30K. So we've hit a huge area of support. And to be honest, I think levels now are really going to be price discovery, which isn't the best news considering how hawkish and bearish things are right now. We are in a bear market. So if you're a short-term trader, for sure, you have to be looking at selling resistance rather than buying dips and support, right? So the next levels are around, 30, 31, selling any rips, or at least, not buying those rips if you're a short-term trader. Some really good news long-term, though, if you're a long-term investor for Bitcoin, something that Michael Saylor posted was this fair value accounting for Bitcoin. And this may change the game because a lot of companies and corporations that maybe possibly want to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet will have it completely muck up their accounting method. And it will look, you have to book it as a loss if there's a reduction in price. So it makes accounts look extremely poor, even though you may have, put only a small percentage of your, corporate treasury in there. It looks like this is changing. They actually voted 7-0 to basically consider a new accounting method if corporations have Bitcoin. These are the long-term, fundamental, really good bits of news that actually allow Bitcoin to be incorporated into the financial ecosystem and really become a large scale, world scale asset. And so it's really important to keep an eye on those. If you're a trader, obviously not really much that is going to give you. I just want to look at Ethereum right here as well, which has also hit just, absolute generational support. You can see around the 2000 level, obviously another, very round number, psychologically important, but you can just see the support and resistance and the areas of value on the chart right here. So we're going back to February last year, huge resistance here. And then we've just hit that support on multiple occasions during drawdowns, and we were hitting it once more, right? So the last 12 months just completely wiped out, which is fair enough because obviously that 12 months was the Fed printing money and being as dovish as it can, and now it's turned back, but Ethereum is holding up extremely well around this support, 2800, and obviously the Luna crash has just crashed everything back and taken all of those gains away. So in terms of if you're a long-term investor here, what you're seeing is just generational support levels right here. Areas to get into dollar cost average. You cannot pick bottoms. It's impossible. If you're a short-term trader, again, what you do is just wait when things like this happen because we are in a hawkish period of time, a bearish period of time. And so, if we see a bounce, up to this resistance here, 2300, if you're a short-term trader, you're looking at weeks, few weeks, few months, you're not buying these rips, right? Because we are still in a bearish period, and we have to wait until the Fed pivots to be truly confident that there will be a bid under the market. If you want to get up to $4,000 as a deposit bonus on Bybit, which is the trading system that I'm using here, I'll leave that link in the description. If you sign up, you can deposit some crypto or fiat, and they'll give you up to $4,000 as a deposit bonus in your futures trading account. So if you trade futures, you want that deposit bonus up to $4,000. I'll leave that link in the description. I'll talk about the Fed then, what they're telling us and what interest rates are telling us in a second. I just want to look at the Luna chart. You know, absolute disaster happened, right? And, you know, a lot of people are asking me, should I trade Luna? Is it, you know, what should we do here? My, you know, not financial advice is just steer well clear of it. This is absolutely a failure. I mean, not just the price, but also some of the things that industry insiders are saying here. You've got CZ from Binance, who is, you know, basically controlling a lot of the liquidity in the market. This guy's coming out on his own Twitter personally and saying, don't touch it. It's done. It's finished. You know, they're not going to be adding liquidity for, you know, this going forward. Crypto.com, they all want to basically get rid of this tumor that is, you know, just taking a lot of attention away from the real, you know, advances that we're making in the crypto industry. There is still a way to go with the unwind with Terra. I know there are some plans. They want to, you know, create a second blockchain, and it's just an absolute mess. I would not get involved with it at all if, you know, if I was, you know, asked. You can see that Terra USD is still worth $2 billion. So there's still $2 billion to come out of this. You know, over time. There's questions about where the Bitcoin that Terra bought is actually being held, how much they sold during this sell-off. There's so many questions, and it's just, why would anyone just touch this in any way, shape, or form? You can see Terra Luna here, you know, down 100% in the last 7 days. It's up 60%. It's just an absolute, you know, casino. Steer clear of it. There's still 4 billion tied up in this that has to come out. You know, Do Kwon, the whole ecosystem is just a pariah for me. They're not going to be let loose with, you know, any projects going forward. So I'd still steer well clear of this. You know, you may, if you haven't traded yet, you may think that maybe you want to hold on to get some of the Bitcoin sold off and put back to holders. It's a total mess. And, you know, it's just better off just, if you are out of it, just not getting involved at all. If you're a short-term trader, like I said, though, it's bearish right now, and you have to just have that in mind. So sell rips or don't buy the rips, and always have that kind of bearish mindset that we're just going to have a lot of pressure on the market the whole time until the Fed pivots. You know, Jerome Powell is coming out today, and you have to understand that everything this guy says is like 3 months behind what the market is actually telling you, right? So what he's saying now is that a soft landing is really just getting back to 2% inflation. Now we're at like, what, 8? Officially 8, but it's obviously higher than that, while keeping the labor market strong, and it's quite challenging to accomplish that right now. The market told us that over the last few months, right? The market is forward-looking, the Fed is kind of backward-looking. It can only make statements on actual economic data, and that is obviously looking into the past. This guy even, though, is saying, look, inflation is so high and we're not really getting it under control in any way, shape, or form. And so what we're going to have to do is basically kill the labor market, you know, and the market is telling us that. However, what you need to do is really look forward and say, at what point is the economy going to start breaking down, and when will they pivot? Because when the Fed pivots, that is when they start, you know, raising rates at a slower pace, or even freezing rates, and potentially freezing asset purchases as well, which means there's going to be more money flowing around the system, and then assets, risk assets especially, will get a bid underneath them, and that's when we can be really confident that we're in a new era. But that's probably, you know, still going to be a way out. Looking at 5-year break-evens, this is the best method that I kind of see of the market's prediction of rates. And you can see that in, you know, 3-4 months ago, a few months ago, you know, it was up here at kind of 3.3, and it's falling off now. So the market is telling us, actually, you know what, we do see, you know, in the future that inflation is going to be coming down. We're seeing the actual economy, we're predicting the actual economy is slowing down. That's for sure. You know, Europe, UK, US, it's going to be slowing down. We're seeing some tech companies, you know, scale back their hiring. And so that means inflation will start to tick down. So that's what we're seeing here. Now, trying to figure out at what point this actually does happen in the economy, and then those figures flow through to the Fed, and then when the Fed pivots, you know, you're just trying to predict something, but it will happen. And the question is when. We don't know when, but you know, that is coming through right now. So if you're a long-term investor, what you're seeing is essentially the market pricing in a terrible recession right now, basically. And, you know, potentially that is a good time to actually go and dollar cost average and get in during the bad times, considering that the asset that you're invested in, you think actually is going to survive this bear market. Many altcoins will not, because they're just simply not profitable. And they were, you know, basically paying themselves through all the VC money they had. When that dries up, if they're not profitable, they will fail. They're just businesses like anything else. Also with regulation, and I've said this in my private Discord group, I'll leave links below to the crypto investor course if you want to get involved, private Discord groups and everything. But you know, what I've said for a very long time now is that this bear market is going to be the DeFi regulation bear market. Anything that's not profitable, anything that doesn't want to be regulated and come into the sphere of, you know, regular investment is just going to go to zero, because they will be cut off from all of the venture capital. They've had a free run so far, and they will not be getting one in the future. This is my opinion. You can see Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, saying, you know, we're going to have to start regulating these things. And they've been working on this. You've seen that stablecoin regulation is coming in. So that will be happening, and that will cut off a lot of the capital to some of the smaller assets and applications that don't have any real want to actually come and be regulated. If you are a short-term trader and you do want to get that deposit bonus, I'll leave that link to Bybit in the description. You can get up to $4,000 when you make a deposit on there in your futures trading account. I'm James with MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.